This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where techniques mind, we ponder, we dream.
Good morning and welcome to Think Future. My name's Chris Kalaboukis, and once again we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking technology, philosophy, the future, not necessarily those and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I greatly appreciate it. Now, the other day, I went back and listened to my very first show over 9 years ago. And I remember saying to myself, I wasn't sure if I liked that intro, that I was probably going to change it. And here I am 9 years later saying the exact same thing. It's amazing how things don't change, right? So the other day in our sister publication, AI Daily, aidaily.us, check out the link below if you want to subscribe, I came across a very interesting use of AI. And what it was AI Jesus. That's right, folks. They'd taken AI and created a representation of Jesus who would take confessions and respond. And this is an AI, just like any other AI, has a large language model. It was trained on the New Testament, but it basically acts and speaks and responds as Jesus would. So they've created an AI Jesus. Now, some people might say, oh my God, that's terrible. That's blasphemous. You shouldn't do that. But it reminds me a little bit of what happened at my church and what's happening at churches all over the world. And I'm sort of a Greek Orthodox. I don't know if I adhere to it really deeply. Mostly agnostic, but I am Greek Orthodox. And I remember a ritual that we had at the church, which I thought was very impressive when I was younger, and it still impresses me to this day. And it's around Easter. And if anybody knows the Greek Orthodox Church, Easter is the biggest holiday in the Orthodox religion, because it's more important than Christmas. So yes, Christ was born, but the resurrection, that is amazing, right? That's never happened before to anyone. So that is what's celebrated more than anything. And I still remember the ceremonies that occurred around resurrection. And what would happen is that we'd all be in the church and we'd be there on the Saturday night before Easter Sunday. And we would be there around midnight, 11:30. And as midnight came along, it's a bit like New Year's Eve. As midnight came along, just before midnight, they doused all the lights in the church. So the church was completely dark. No candles, nothing. Completely dark. And the priest would turn and he would take one of the flames behind the pulpit and he would light a candle with this flame. And then he would take this flame and he would turn around and he would light the candle of someone in the crowd, the first person in the crowd. And then that person would light the candle of someone else in the crowd. And then people would light their candles off somebody else in the crowd. People would turn to someone else in the community and they would light the candles. And as the candles spread, and especially if you were standing at the back watching all this, or maybe you were on the second floor watching all this, it was amazing to see the flames spread, the light spread. It went from a completely darkened church, as the lights spread throughout the community, as the flames spread throughout the community, eventually reaching wherever you happen to be in the church and lighting your candle. And it was just this super impressive moment where chanting was going on and the lights basically started from nothing and spread throughout the community. And the community was bathed in light. The church was bathed in light. And it was such a beautiful ritual. And I remember going through this, even when I was a kid, seeing this and always being impressed by it. And then one time, a few years ago, we went to another church in Toronto, and we were on the second floor, and the time came for this ritual to occur. And just before the ritual occurred, all these people whipped out their cell phones and they started recording the ritual. They started, when the light first started, when the priest turned around with the candle, the single lit candle, and they started recording the ritual, whether they were recording it to their phones or live streaming it to the world. The ritual was being recorded. And my first thought was, wow, they bring in the technology into this powerful ritual. That's bad. And then my second thought was, why is that bad? Why would something like that bad? Why would using technology to allow more people around the world, either immediately or at any point, to experience this ritual, to experience this part of the religion? So maybe using the technology to communicate the ritual is actually good for the ritual. And if you think about it, I mean, if the church had technology and software back in the days when it first started, wouldn't it use that technology to be able to proselytize to the masses? Of course it would. It's kind of like people saying, if filmmakers back in the black and white days had color film, would they make color movies? Of course they would make color movies. Maybe some won't. Maybe some wouldn't. But most of them would probably make color movies. You do what you do with the technology of the day. So this is what I feel about AI Jesus. So why not use AI to replicate one of the most beloved figures in religion and allow them to answer questions as if they were real? Why not take the technology of today and apply it to the message of the past to help that message get out? So if as far as I'm concerned, it's not blasphemous at all. And I think more and more religions should do these things if it follows along with their faith, and it's okay with them, to be able to get the word out. Why not blend the technology with the philosophy and the religion and use that to spread the message? That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.